in the New Jersey, New York area. I surmise that they're in New Jersey because the signals I see, 20 and 25 over S9, without a preamp on my side. So I know exactly who you're talking about. You talk about those same guys that sit down at 176. They may find another frequency below in the extra portion. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. You got it pegged. And it seems to me that they've been around a while because I didn't really take any interest in them at all until relatively recently because I don't run around the bands trying to find trouble. People think I try to find trouble and people to harass. I do no such thing. If I run around the band, it's trying to find a clear spot so probably Tom and I can speak. And that's the only reason I was there. And Tom wasn't in there. I received a return email from him that he was available, so I was still looking for a spot, and that's why I lit on those guys. Now, you confirm the fact that they're there. They go on in Korean, on and on and on and on. Now, the funny part is they can't even give, in English, that's recognizable, a legitimate call sign. It doesn't mean that they're not legitimately licensed. I can't go as far as to tell you that they're illegal per se, but they're illegal from the point of view, as you said, they go on for more than 10 minutes without even any indication that they're going to come up for air. They give no IDs whatsoever, and they're speaking Korean. They're speaking a totally foreign language, and I'll bet the OOs just pass them right by, So the OOs would come up here and listen to John and myself, and then call Laura Smith so we can get something in the mail. I mean, that's like attacking your own body, you know, where you've got a cancer just down the band, and you don't know exactly that it's a cancer, but you come up here to 185 and try to get W1IT and KB3MZQ, try to get us cited by the FCC, when you know very, very well that we're actually legitimate stations. Whereas down there, they can go on in Korean forever and ever, on and on and on, on and on and on. But the funny thing that really English worth a darn, but he did know an obscenity word when he recognized that I was trying to get him to tell who he was. He said, "Go fuck yourself! Go fuck yourself! Go fuck yourself!"
All right, that's so good here.
Oh God! I mean that to me really made my day. K1LEM.
Yeah, KC2QYM. I will tell you. And I've gotten a couple of OO cards, not using the F word, but the S word. And if you don't speak Korean and you're an OO, how do you know that those guys are not what they're talking about and what kind of curse words they're using in their stinking foreign language? So they can get away with murder, and because they're not identifying, unless the OOs band together and decide to do a triangulation, and find them and find out where they are and identify them, because the resources of the FCC are just not there, and the OOs are looking for low-hanging fruit to prove their, to put, hash marks on their arm as if they, I got another one. The OOs are especially one guy or two guys are just looking for easy pickings so they can go on their quota system, just like the cops get quotas for traffic tickets. They're going to show their diligence that they're actively involved with policing the band, on behalf of the ARRL, the self-policing mentality. To give you, or, maybe you deserve it, maybe I deserve that one, but I gave my call sign, so I'm easily recognizable, as opposed to these fools on 176 that constantly go back and forth and hold the microphone for God knows how long. I mean, people condemn us for keeping the microphone for more than 10 minutes in our rants, but those guys go on like a broadcast station. As a matter of fact, the canter in his voice, one of the guys, is almost like he's reading news from Korea.
Yeah, what he made.
To the rest of his adherents on the frequency. And never hear them make a call sign. And they've been around for a number of years now. I've heard them. They're local up here in this area because of their signals. And yet they go on and they just get away with murder. So are you talking about what's fair, on ham radio or in life? And of course it's not fair, and if the OOs were really doing their job, they'd go in on that and they'd try to identify who those stations are and take some action against their violations, which are pretty flagrant. But no, since you're out there and an open book, and we're open books over here with our call signs, and we speak English, it's easy for the OO to put a notch on his gun and say, oh, I did my job. I put out a card to this guy because he used the S word, or whatever the hell whatever turns him on. But don't forget, the OOs are not the FCC. And, it's quite a leap for them to go from OO to FCC unless they all band together in a cabal that they have to try to get somebody off the air because they don't like what you say. Go ahead, Stanley. KD8IUU, KC2QYM.
Yeah, okay. Just some observations here about that. Very interesting and quite important point. And I just thought I would bring some things that can be verified as facts if you do the research, like Whit suggested. How could somebody dare come on there, the station KD8IUU here for ID? How can they dare come on there and say illegitimate station call without ever by a superficial look and invalidate a valid station? And then so I suggest when I bring these points up, they can be checked out. Okay. First, I guess last in, first out. In fact, Laura Smith is at her desk several days a week. Okay, but not the entire week. Okay, that is her schedule, and that can be verified. It takes a little bit of difficulty to check it out, but that can be verified. Okay, but behind the scenes, more important than that, that's not really terribly important. But I guess what is important about that is the FCC is involved. They're not totally disconnected. Their office is operating. And but I think here's what's really important regarding the situation is we have a history from the very founding of the AARL with the political biases of none less than, not pronouncing saying this guy's name, I think it's Herbert Percy Maxim, okay, the founder of the AARL, and his original involvement with the FCC, okay, and the formation of instrumental and the codification of the ham radio designation and regulations. We have his operating philosophy quite different than the FCC today. Not in the past, but today, the FCC used to be very much in agreement with him. In fact, we found the FCC very much in agreement with the FCC philosophy, which I'm going to describe here in a minute. Okay. So we have we even saw that in the enforcement officer, Ms. Smith's predecessor. What's the guy's name?
It doesn't matter if you can't find the name, Stanley. Continue on with the flow of information.
Okay. Yeah, the French fry guy. What's his name?
Riley Hollingsworth.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. So anyway, yes, we even had that philosophy, but certainly not hearing that out of Laura Smith at all. And she has really stuck more to the FCC's actual role in enforcement. Now, what's happening, though, is that, yes, there is, but now here's what happens is, so Laura Smith actually has put letters out that show her defending people's rights to say whatever they're going to say on the radio. She shows her colors, okay, and it's not just personal colors, it's actually the objectivity that the FCC itself is required by law to have in deference to the First Amendment rights of any citizen. She's actually cited the First Amendment rights in letters, much like Hollingsworth had issued letters, but entirely different bent. So, in the meanwhile, but in the meantime, we have those who of the ARL are still of the Herman Percy Maxim, and Herman Percy Maxim himself personally, as the founder of the ARL and instigator of the licensing, FCC licensing of amateur radio, and involved in those initial, he was an advisor, basically had them put these nebulous terms in the 1934 Telecommunications Act,
that referred to words like a certain character, undefined, you have to be a certain character, undefined, and all these nebulous terms that allowed for the FCC to implement the AERLs, or Herman Percy Maxim. Herman Percy Maxim has gone in writing, having said during the time of the formation that he was against people talking about anything political or of religious concern on the radio whatsoever. And then, of course, we heard that codified with the ARL sitting there clapping and applauding, what's his name, Hollingsworth, okay, when he issued these absolutely spurious, absurd letters asking against the First Amendment, asking W1WCR, Victor Meserve, if I'm pronouncing his name right, okay, why he should not be on commercial radio instead of amateur radio, and obviously Hollingsworth didn't have an answer to that question. He was just picking on the guy.
That's right.
And harassing him.
That's right. He used to pick on people mostly.
Yeah, now, as it turns out that he was doing the agenda of the original ARL, okay, and now the ARL, many of them, not all of them, are very much interested, not in the defense of personal rights, but they're interested in the elimination of they're interested, even activists, in the elimination of the First Amendment rights on our airwaves. And that goes, the very fact that, yes, it sounds like these two stations are not Korean stations. They're operating from the domestic perimeters or the domain of the FCC, of these two Korean stations, or whatever language they're using. And yes, they're not being, the ARL is not going to the FCC, okay, against them, okay, because you can't hear what they're saying that they disagree with. Okay, but they probably would be going if you could hear the comment if it involves certain non-subjects that the ARL, like Herbert Percy Maxim, doesn't want discussed on amateur radio. But Laura Smith has too much respect for the law and wants to do her job right, and she does it right at the limits of their responsibility, but she's got the ARL trying to get her to go further than the law would allow her to, KD8IUU.
Yeah, Stanley, you're right on. Again, I've got to say that you're very perceptive. I mean, my God, Stan, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I never thought that I would see so much intelligence coming from you on this issue. Now, you may well have done your research. I don't know. I know I did mine with Robbie Hollingsworth. And I went and I looked at some of the letters that the guy wrote to some people that he was basically, if I was an opposing attorney and we were going to go to court, the letters were indicative of harassment. They were nothing more than legal harassment. And at least Laura Smith, when she writes, she keeps her writing concise. And if she has a complaint or an inquiry into your amateur station, she will cite you chapter and verse from the law. Hollingsworth never did that. Well, I shouldn't say that he never did that, but he wasn't a good attorney. He's not a high-level, I don't know where he went to school. I think it was some backwoods legal school in Tennessee. I did a little research on the dude. I think he comes right out of the Christian right-wing College of Jesus and Mary, somewhere out of Tennessee. I'd like to know where he graduated from law school, because I wouldn't be attacking an aficionado of the FCC, not at all. But I went back and I did a little research, and this is prior to the little letter I got from, a warning letter I got from Miss Laura back in July, a year ago, July. Which was largely politically motivated on this frequency. We understand that. But the letter itself was at least in good legal form. Now, I'm not an attorney. I have taken people to small claims court, and I know because I had to find out years ago, it was obligatory on me because we had a period where we had to enter into both superior court and small claims. that I had to understand as best as I could, try to model myself in good form for the court. I couldn't become a lawyer, but at least I knew what the protocol was for being a good attorney. So I looked back at some of the Hollingsworth letters. One of the most incriminating ones is this case he had about, I don't know if you examined this one, Stan. It's a W6 case out of Southern California where he writes this guy mercilessly, and there's not one piece of information that he uses. I'm talking now about Riley Hollingsworth. Not one piece of information where there's been an FCC official monitoring of this individual, this W6C something or other. Now, the interesting part here is the W6C station, and I can't remember his call. I was looking at the letters that came back and forth from these two, and I thought, my God in heaven, this is ridiculous. This isn't any kind of legal protocol at all. It's Riley Hollingsworth sitting at a desk at the FCC writing letters as if he's a member of some net that's being interfered with on amateur radio. He doesn't have one leg to stand on. He's just sitting there and he's threatening people, and he's threatening and he's threatening. He doesn't have any evidence. He doesn't have any monitoring. It's just that it's third party. He said, she said, we heard, we think, you can't. And you mentioned the fact that he was trying to interrupt some of these nets who were not broadcasting on. I believe it's the one on 75 you're talking about, the Liberty Net. Now, whether or not you agree politically with the Liberty Net, that's beside the point. It really is. That's beside the point. Whether you agree with it or not, he has every right. I don't agree with the call, but he has every right to form a net to talk about what he wants to. If you run up and down the bands today, you hear these pathetic religious nets where they're doing nothing but quoting from Luke. They just read passages out of the Bible. Are these people ever asked to stop talking because religion and amateur radio don't mix? Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. But now you go up the band and you listen to the Liberty Net. Now, I don't say I agree with it. I think it's probably very right of center. But I do know what the First Amendment says, and K1LEM per ID. I would defend their right to say it on amateur radio. Amateur radio doesn't have to be boring. There's nothing in Part 97 that says you shall form a net. Now, I was on EHAM the small little animals that exist on EHAM. You can go back and see some of my postings on EHAM, and I bring up perfectly legitimate issues on EHAM, and I get attacked mercilessly by the small little midget minds that are out there. They just can't resist coming in, and they don't understand the issues involved. Now, one of the issues that I brought up, Stan, and I'm sure that you're smart enough, now I know you're smart enough to know this, one of the issues I brought up on EHAM was I said, I have just opened Part 97 of the Radio Communication Act in the United States that deals with amateur radio. Clearly state that amateur radio's purpose is the following, and I think that it's A through E. There are a number of things that this is what we believe amateur radio's purpose to be. I didn't see anywhere in there anything that I could honestly say on any given any conversation that was upholding any one of those. Not even one. Science? Where? Where's the science? There's no science. Where's the this? Where's the that?